Welcome back, world. Welcome back to 2017. You've entered the Shadow Nation. Right here at the Mystifying Oracle of Radio. Nathan, what's going on, buddy?
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Sean hit me with a rock, and now I'm the special host.
Yeah, and of course we are your Ghost Man and Demon Hunter. And we should probably thank all our homes, all our sponsors, while we still have them. Stitcher, Smart Radio, Spreaker, the world's listening. Are you? Check them out, Spreaker.com, Planet Paranormal, and Geeky Antics Network, Serious Geeks, Silly Fun, GeekyAntics.net, the 10 of Home Healthcare, 10 of HHC.com, and all those around the world. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Feels good to be back.
It does feel good to be back.
Yeah, it does. I'm so excited to be back. I can't believe we are back. And, of course, we started the year in true G&D show fashion, Shadow Nation fashion, with audio problems. So sorry, guys.
With technical problems in the studios.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys aren't in chat, sorry about that, because they probably thought we weren't doing a show all of a sudden. So.
Well, that and they, one of the technical problems we've discovered was with my chat computer, which meant we couldn't use that anymore. Right. So I can't be in chat right now.
Oh yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. So anyway,
otherwise the entire broadcast sounds like this.
Yeah. Well, we don't know how we sound tonight, guys. So get us in chat. Let us know how you think we sound, at least.
Let Sean know.
Yeah, let's one of us know, and I'll pass it along to Nathan. But anyway, welcome back. This is a new year. We got a lot of stuff in store, right, Nathan?
We do, and we've been gone. We've been on vacation.
Well, you got to take the holidays off. Did you have a good Christmas?
Now.
Did you have a good Christmas?
I had a great Christmas. You know, we barely talked over the holidays. It's, you know, the rest of the year we talk every single week, 4 or 5 times a week during the week, and then Christmas hits, and it's like 3 weeks we don't hear from each other. And God, it's wonderful.
Absolutely. Well, when you got all the kids running around and all that, it's hard, man. It's hard.
It really is. And Sean kept calling me up going, "You missed doing a show yet?" And I was like, "Not yet." Miss doing a show yet? Not yet. Miss doing a show yet? Yeah, I'm starting to miss a show. I need a show.
Yeah.
I'm jonesing for a show.
Yeah, and I was. When you host radio, you gripe about it while you're hosting it, finding guests, content, all that. And then when you're not doing it, you gripe about not doing it.
And then today, literally, this was a last-minute show we got tonight, Sean.
We did. We've been working on tonight's guest for quite a while. And tonight we got her. And since you brought it up, what do you say we do? Tonight's guest. Tonight's guest. I'm so excited about this one, Nathan, because, like I said, we've been working on her quite some time.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, tonight's guest, guys, she is an independent investigative journalist and a New York Times best-selling author of the book UFOs. Generals, pilots, and government officials go on record. Once again, we look to the skies and hear some true stories of credible people who witnessed incredible, unexplainable things. Tonight, Leslie Kane stops by studio to talk all things UFOs. And, of course, she's got a new book coming out in March, Nathan. She's got a new book, pal. Yeah. Surviving Death, a journalist investigates evidence for an afterlife. Sounds like that's right up our avenue. Right here on the Mystifying Oracle Radio. You're in Shadow Nation country. Tonight, Leslie Kane in studio. Another good way to bring in the new year. With aliens. How do you go wrong with aliens, Nathan?
You can never go wrong with aliens.
We
ever.
Can't. You know, that's out of all our guests, and we've had Dan Aykroyd on. We've had some amazing actors over the years. We love them. Paranormal. We've had people make cases for, I believe, everything in the strange and weird world on this show. And aliens are always our top-rated shows.
Everybody always wants to know about them. Are we alone? It used to be ghosts. I admit it.
Well,
but now it's aliens.
Because in the early days we didn't do a lot of aliens. Really, we did more ghostly. So we didn't know if,
Yeah.
We didn't know if that. But definitely, we start having Stephen Bassett, Nick Pope, all these guys on that are experts in this field, and John Podesta, of course, everybody talks about that because he was the closest to a government official in the U.S. at least that has tried to shed light on it. I guess him and Bill Clinton was big on that. They were big on trying. Remember Clinton when he got in? He said he was going to look into it.
Yeah, well, you think you're the president and you're allowed to have all this information. And if we all saw Independence Day, so we all know they don't give the president that information for plausible deniability.
Yeah. You think that's true? You think that, honestly, do you think the president doesn't know if there is something?
I find it hard to believe that somebody could come into office, be given all that information, and then never, ever in their lifetime release it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, under threat of death, possibly not. That's what a lot of these guys are saying that are from, the communities that go out and they do this stuff. A lot of them say that they were threatened. Their families were threatened, right? I'm not lying.
That's true, and you figure an ex-president, his security, the people who follow him around to make sure nobody tries to kill him after he's president, are the same security he had when he was president. So they're getting paid by the people who don't want that information out.
That's right. And do you want your lifetime at $400,000 a year as president, free housing, free health care, and free men in black? Or do you want to blow it all over the people knowing there's aliens? I don't know.
Indeed. You know what though? I don't know if I'm getting old or what, but when people, I watch all the specials are there aliens out there?
Yeah.
Is it a government secret? Is it this or that? I'm like, I don't care.
You don't care? It's one of the hot topics in the world.
You know what? But
wow.
I just feel like we're rehashing the same stuff over and over again. And that's why I'm so happy we have tonight's guest on, because it's not a rehash of all the same old stuff.
Well, one of the hot topics for us is the mysterious deaths of all these ufologists that we've been, I think we've even had a couple on the show that have mysteriously disappeared. So hopefully Leslie won't have that. But she's an independent investigative journalist. So that's going to be, it's going to be interesting because she owes nothing to no one. So
and she has some new work coming out too. So
yeah, she's got a book coming up real soon. But that's exciting. So we can't wait to get it. Hey, talking about the new year, Nathan, I was going over a list. Everybody does what at the new year? They make a New Year's
cocktail.
Well, that too. But after that, you say, I'm not going to do this ever again. New Year's resolution.
Oh, not when you started to say not going to do this ever again, I thought you meant the hookup you have on New Year's night and then wake up in the morning and go, oh, my God, did I really spend the night with that person?
Did I stay with that? No, but I was looking it up in the top 10 New Year's resolutions. You want to hear them?
I'm guessing lose weight and quit smoking are in there.
Okay. Well, we're going to go. This comes from the Nielsen ratings, of course. We love them so much.
We love the Nielsens.
They were so kind
I hate you, Nielsen. I hate you.
They were so kind to our television.
Actually, they were kind. We got the perfect the numbers we wanted. We just didn't get the right statistics.
We didn't get the right statistics. So good luck to everybody that's getting those statistics. We were framed. Anyway, top 10 New Year's resolutions. And our good friends at the Nielsen rating, if we have any. Okay, we'll start out with number one. Number one, it shows 14% for this one. And I'm going to let you guess. This would be the least likely known New Year's resolution that people make.
Well, if it's the least likely, it's going to be quit drinking.
To quit drinking. Okay. Is that your final answer, sir?
That's my final answer.
Oh, wait a second. We didn't get to do this. Hold on a second. Might as well go ahead and...
Oh, we're going to do that, are we?
Let's do Jeopardy. Who doesn't like Jeopardy? I can't play it the whole time, though. It's ridiculous. Okay, so... The number one... Where's it?
No, the least likely. So this would be the number 10.
Yeah, the least likely answer to people's New Year's resolution. You said to quit drinking?
Yes.
It's actually to travel more.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-huh. You're out of time. Yeah, to travel more. And number two, again, at 14%. So I don't know how this was a tie here. What's the number two, you think? Least.
Spend more time with their kids.
Learn something new or a new hobby. Yeah, you're doing terrible here. Number three, 16% of the people say will not make any
quick decisions.
Resolutions. 16% people make a resolution not to make any new resolutions.
Hey, that's like when I gave up Catholicism for Lent.
There you go. Yeah. Anyway, okay, where are we at here? We're at number 4. At 18% of the people say they want to get. Here, I got to give you multiple choice. It's hard. They want to get fit, they want to get organized, or they want to get a college education.
Well, those are two big different things. College education or get fit, organized, or college education. Those should be 3 separate ones there. They can't lump all those together.
That's what I was saying. That's your multiple choice, A, B, C.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that. I would say that
get fit,
get fit's organized. Usually higher up on there, so I will say college education.
And get organized.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, the next one. 19% of the people said they want to spend more time with family,
their kids,
friends, or animals.
Kids, family.
That's it. But we'll give it to you. Family. Anyway. And here goes, guys. We're 3 away from the top. At 25% of the people say they want to spend less and
money.
They want to spend less time, money, or actually that's it. There's 2. Time or money. Time or money. They want to spend less on unimportant things.
Then on unimportant things, then it's going to be time.
That's right. They want to spend less time in their life.
Because we all want to spend more money on unimportant things.
Yeah. Here goes.
We love spending more money on unimportant things.
Well, yeah, I do too. It makes me complete. Anyway, 28% of the people say, let's see here. They want to enjoy life to the fullest. Well, there's another question there. I'm sorry. Okay, number 2. This is one away from the very top one. Number 2. 32% of the people say they want to... Is it A, go out more, 2, vacation more, 3, lose weight?
If it's number 2, I'm going to say lose weight.
That's it. You got ding, 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 ding. You got that one. I can't believe it. Because number 1, coming in at 37% of the people say they want to stay fit and healthy, they want to get religious, or they want to, we'll throw this one in again, vacation more.
Well, that was what I said earlier. Fit and healthy has got to be number 1.
The number 1 thing out there is to stay fit and healthy, Nathan. You have won, sir. I think you only missed half of them at least. But we'll give it to you.
So I'm very average. Which was my New Year's resolution, was to be more average.
Be more average. Well, you've completed the first level, sir.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so what's going on, Nathan? Since we're already here, what do you say we? Because it's a new year, and we still have some of the same old patterns we're going to follow. So it's time for G&D Show in the news.
In the news.
Yeah, it's always fresh. It's always exciting, and strange, and weird, and it's straight from the Shadow Nation vaults. And it starts right
now.
Ooh, that felt good for the new year.
It did. Hey, folks, want to remind you that this is Sean's My G&D in the News. That's weird news that Sean and I pick right out of the papers. That means we haven't read the stories yet, which means we make a lot of mistakes. Yeah. Every time we make a mistake, you take a drink. That's why it's called the G&D drinking game. Of course, if you're listening to us while driving in your car right now, we ask that you do not play the G&D drinking game because we don't want to pay your fines and we don't want to be held responsible. And if you are doing anything important this evening, like, say, breaking your New Year's resolution, please listen responsibly.
Okay, this is me. I'm first up here. The celebrity...
Have a drink, folks.
Yeah, drink up, guys. Celebrcity.com, guys. Get it? CelebCity.com. Anyway, here goes, guys. First up for the 2017. It's a big one. It's going to lead us off. Woman puts poison on her hoo-ha. I had to change that. To kill husband when he went down on her. You like this?
And what was supposed to protect her from this poison?
I don't know, but I'm sure it wasn't well thought out there. Anyway, she was quoted. Well, let's just go here. It said, oh, God, I can't talk. Anyway, she said, I told
How many drinks have people gotten to have so far, Sean?
Well, I didn't mispronounce. I just stuttered. I told his ASS not to F around on me, and be effing other B words behind my back. I bet he won't do it anymore. Drink,
Have
guys.
a drink, folks.
Anyway, said an angry Beatrice Walker who put poison on her hoo-ha to try and kill her husband. The poison was a rat-based liquid she found on Google that she thought would leave no trace, but she was wrong. I knew something was wrong when he wouldn't leave the house to come get this hoo-ha. He know we always F on Thursdays. His mistress, Valerie Green, stated in court documents as to why she knew something was wrong after she hadn't seen Mr. Walker in 4 days. Beatrice was Drink up, guys.
Have a drink, folks.
She was charged with attempted murder and faces 15 years in prison. She is being held on a $150,000 bond. Mr. Walker says that he knew something wasn't right before he went to please her because she had the Belle Biv DeVoe song Poison playing on repeat. He says, and of course, Mr. Walker was quoted as saying, "I still love my wife, but I ain't eating or drinking poop." Shit, the S word. She give me every again, not even a bottle of water. He basically, long story short, he loves his wife, but he ain't eating nothing she gives him to drink or eat ever again. So there you go, Nathan.
I guess he should have been careful what he ate that night. But anyway, Sean, there are two different main kinds of rat poison out there. Okay. One of them is just an anticoagulant. That's probably the most potent one that's out there, which would have little to no effect on a full-grown man. Okay. If he used it in that small amount. But the others that are out there have can cause bone leaching, can cause metal poisoning, lots of different stuff. So I guess he's a lucky man.
Yeah, he is a lucky man. So I guess she got away scot-free.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'm sure she's going to face some charges. I mean, the fact that it's out in the papers, he doesn't have to press charges. She tried to commit a murder.
Well, she got a $150,000 bond. She's actually out. That's attempted murder.
Yeah, well, that $150,000 bond means it was probably a $1.5 million bail.
I don't know.
So they're going to make sure she goes to court, believe you me. Hey, Sean, a German man came home to find a brick wall blocking his door. Mm-hmm. Comes to us from the Huffington Post. Exciting. Sometimes you just want to bang your head against a wall, especially when one has been mysteriously erected in your front door. That's the bizarre blockage. A man in, have a drink, Menahasu, Germany, faced. I'm half German. I should be able to read that. Faced when he hey, that was one. Yeah. Came home from walking the night shift the next morning. Uh-huh. Working the night shift. Have a drink. Working the night shift.
See, it's easy, isn't
it? The mortar on the bricks had dried enough that the man had to borrow an axe to smash his way through the wall in order to get to his front door, according to the Haskende in German websites.
I went ahead and gave you the bell.
The wall appears to have been built by pranksters, but police did not find it funny.
Okay.
It reminded me of the building of the Berlin Wall, a police spokesman said, according to the BBC, that went up quickly, too.
Yeah.
He added, "It's a crime, not a joke."
That's true.
The police estimate damages caused by the wall to be around 523, according to UPI News.
Pesos?
Most of the damage was to the front door, its frame. What the heck are you digging me there for?
You didn't clarify what type of. You just said 500 and whatever. Or was it U.S. dollars? Pesos?
It doesn't say.
Oh, that's terrible reporting, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll say dollars then. $523 according to UPI News.
Okay.
Most of the damage was to the front door, its frame, and the bell, according to the Haskende. Oh, I'm sorry. That's this isn't a mistake, Sean. It's a Hoskin.d.
Oh my God! Hold on. How many times did you say that? 3?
Police said that they had no leads, but suspect they will soon. This is a classic story that someone unwraps sometimes at the bar. Huh? And that's not wrong, Sean. This is a classic story that someone unwraps sometime at the bar.
Okay.
And then it ends up very quickly with us. Officer Ingbert Zuknich told the Haskin.d.
That's a hard one. You picked a hard one.
I picked a hard one, and I just thought it was funny, and that's why I opened it. And
it is funny. I agree with you. Anyway, baby brother, the time is upon us, huh?
It is. Before we go, Sean, we should say who tonight's show is dedicated to.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Absolutely, guys. As you know, here at the Shadow Nation, Nate and I are huge Star Wars geeks. And, of course, you might know very sad news for the Star Wars fans across the land, for everybody, actually, because we lost two icons. We lost, of course, Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. And tonight's show is going to be dedicated to them guys. What do you think, Nate?
I think so. It's I told you I got to see Bright Lights last night. To see the two of them together was a treat.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful that documentary was made just before this happened, so that we all have that to remember them by. But we're all gonna miss Princess Leia, and we're all gonna miss Grandma from Halloween Town, and we're all gonna miss the people in general. So
definitely, guys. Two greats gone. I heard that she had just finished filming Episode 8 for Star Wars, so they're gonna.
She did.
That's gonna be her big thing there. That's gonna be a marketing tool. I hate to say
that's the swan song.
Yeah, that's it. But she got the work done, and Carrie, thanks for all the years of greatness, and of course your mother. What a bond. Anyway, tonight's guest. Tonight's guest. Yeah, is an independent investigative journalist and a New York Times best-selling author of the book UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on Record. And of course, this March, coming soon, her new book, Surviving Death, a journalist investigator's evidence for an afterlife. Oh, I'm sorry. A journalist investigates evidence for an afterlife. Tonight, Leslie Kane comes right by studio, guys. She stops by as we look to the skies in wonder and hear eyewitness accounts from credible people that have witnessed incredible things. Right here at the home of the Mystifying Oracle Radio, the Shadow Nation. Absolutely. What do you say we play a song tonight, Nate? I only got a song that's just under 3 minutes. Just a song that's under 3 minutes. Are you there, Nathan? Can you hear me, Nathan? I think I've lost Nathan, everybody. Welcome to 2017, everybody. Oh, there you are.
I had blocked myself because I was getting feedback when you were playing the music, so I didn't want to mess anything up.
That's terrific. Anyway, guys, each week on this show, we support the little man here, right, Nate?
Yes, we do.
So we play a band, an independent band, and their music. I thought this would be good. Tonight, the name of the band, The Spectacular Fantastic. Name of the song, UFOs. Shadow Nation. Nathan.
Sean.
What do you say? We'll be right back, huh?
Sounds good.
With Leslie Kane, everybody. Stay tuned.
Strange things happening in Ohio. Birds and this is Dan Aykroyd, also known as Dr. Ray Stantz, Ghostbuster, and you are listening to Ghost Man and Demon Hunter, the Ghost Man and Demon Hunter Show.
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation. Tonight's guest is an independent investigative journalist and a New York Times best-selling author of the book UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on Record. And, of course, this March, her new book, Surviving Death, A Journalist Investigates Evidence for the Afterlife. Please help us welcome Miss Leslie Kane to studio. Leslie, how are you tonight? Absolutely. Leslie, thanks so much for coming on the new year. Did you have a good new year?
I did indeed. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, we worked on it for a while, and you're one of those authors, amazing authors, that we had to have on the show. Because in the past, we've had the greats, Nick Pope, Stephen Bassett. You're right there. I mean, you do so much work in the UFO community, and it's always been a hot topic here about the disappearance of the ufologist, the mysterious deaths surrounding this thing. You got a story that just came out. Let's start off with that. The Chilean government, Nick Pope came on later this summer, and I believe he was talking about earlier this summer, last summer, and he had said that the Chilean government, he thought, were going to be the first to really come forward and start showing evidence. Now, could you talk a little bit about this? What's going on out there?
Well, I mean, I think they already have come forward. I mean, they've certainly shown evidence for some kind of an unexplained phenomenon. So that they have done. If you want to define that as disclosure, then maybe it's happened in Chile. But they basically, the reason it works so well is because their government takes the subject very seriously, and they have a designated office with 4 full-time staff people, which is situated within the equivalent of our FAA. And the FAA is controlled by the Air Force. So it's very much part of the official system there. And all the different agencies, military departments, aviation, agencies and airlines and everybody knows to contact this agency if they ever have any kind of a sighting or have any kind of evidence for something. So the system works very well, and they also have a large scientific committee of volunteers from a huge range of disciplines and universities and technology and all kinds of, physics and astronomers and people that help them investigate cases. So that's how it basically works, and they've done an incredible job, and I think they're really setting an example for how an agency should work for the rest of the world.
Well, I think it's amazing, too. And, of course, we're talking about the CEFAA, the Chilean government's agency, right?
That's correct. It's actually, they pronounce it CEFAA.
Okay.
Which is sort of strange to us, but to them, that's how it works.
That's it.
And it's basically an acronym which stands for the initials of the agency in Spanish. But it's something like, for the Association for the Study of Anomalous Phenomena, something like that is what it means.
Yeah.
And see, if we were reading that, we'd just go, Cefa?
Yeah, I mean, people think it's just Cife or Cefa. But anyway, it's pronounced Cefa.
Yeah.
Because of the 2 A's.
Well, it sounds like a Ferrari.
Yeah,
Fraternity, sorry.
A Ferrari.
I was trying to mix fraternity and sorority at once.
It's a Ferrari. That's good.
Yeah.
It's a new word. Anyway, Leslie, why so tight-lipped? Because when we was talking to Nick, he's talking about the British government as well. They're not as tight-lipped as we are in the United States. Why here are they so tight-lipped? Why the conspiracies to cover up and all these things? Why?
Why are they so different? Well, I mean, it's always hard to answer the why, but what happened back in the 90s, where they had this dramatic sighting over an airport in the northern part of the country, and so many people witnessed this event, including the aviation people, but lots of the public, that they just felt compelled to start an agency. They thought it was worthy of study, and they felt they sort of had to because the public were involved. The public take it seriously, and they believe in the phenomenon, they believe in life on other planets, and so General Bermudez was one of the people who set this agency up, and it just kind of evolved. They had to work very hard, though, to overcome the stigma, even in Chile. I mean, they made a concerted effort to go around and educate the country. They went into schools and universities and businesses and military places, and they educated the aviation community especially about the importance of the phenomenon. So they really worked on it.
Right.
And it paid off. And so, I don't know, it's a unique little place of sanity in the world, and they just had the right people at the right time, and they put the right kind of energy into making it happen.
Yeah.
And it's the only explanation I can really give for the why, but it certainly does stand in contrast to the rest of the world, that's for sure, except for maybe France, which also has a government agency, and they do good work as well.
I always thought over the years on this show, Nate and I have interviewed so many ufologists, people from MUFON, and it's intriguing to me, the setup we have here. And I don't know if it's still going on. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But Robert Bigelow, and I know some of your followers were big on this because immediately tonight when you announced you were going to be here on the Shadow Nation, people said, what do you think about the Skinwalker Ranch? And, of course,
yeah,
and it's fascinating. We had Ryan Burns, author.
Fascinating.
Oh,
yeah,
I love
fascinating.
it. I love it. Have you ever been out there, Leslie?
I haven't. I mean, all I've done was read the book, and then I heard George Knapp give a lecture on it one time. I mean, I'm no expert on that at all, but I just think it was utterly fascinating. And I know these kinds of things happen, so...
Sure.
It's just a amazing situation there.
Well, we had a lot of people come on. I think Dan Aykroyd. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No, go ahead. Continue with yours because I don't want to break the chain.
Well, I was just going to say, because when we had Dan Aykroyd on, he's huge. You know that, Leslie, about MUFON and ufology and everything that's going on out there. You knew that, right? Dan's big on...
I knew that Dan Aykroyd was interested in the topic. Yeah, definitely.
Oh my God,
that's about as much as I know about him.
We got to get you guys together because he's off the chain on this stuff. But I was talking to him about Robert Bigelow, and he seemed, very, I think Robert's a good guy. I've met him, and I don't think anything. But I don't understand how he came forward. He approached MUFON and gave him millions of dollars. From what I hear, I have the stories right here. He gave MUFON millions to get access to these case files that were public access anyway, and then he approached the FAA, which I heard all calls, unreported, unexplained phenomena in the skies, don't only go to FAA, they shoot them over to Bigelow. Have you heard anything about this with aerospace?
Yeah, I mean, I do know that the FAA manual says that if a pilot sees a UFO or crew, they're supposed to either report it to Newfork, I believe, or to Robert Bigelow's agency, his company. So that's about as much as I know. I mean, I don't know anything about the situation you're describing with him buying the files at MUFON and all that. I'm just not up on that.
But well, Sean,
I do know that the manual, I know that the FAA tells that's what it says in the manual, though, that they're supposed to send their reports to him.
And if you were a billionaire and had an interest in this kind of stuff, where would you send your money?
Exactly. But you almost, Leslie, you can't write this stuff. Well, you do, and people have, but it's so strange. Stranger truth than fiction. People don't pay attention to this. A lot of the regular people that, keep their heads down, they're not looking to the skies. They believe that we're alone in the universe, and that's it. They don't pay attention to what's going on. But what would force a multi-billionaire to come forward, a real estate god, to come forward and put all this money into the topic of aliens and UFOs if it's nonsense?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I certainly know. I know that I don't think Robert Bigelow thinks it's nonsense by any means.
No, absolutely not. I just wondered, this is like an X-Files thing. How do they turn this over to Robert Bigelow? He has no ties with the government. He rules over no people, makes no laws, and we're just going to give him... It's not like he has a fleet of alien investigators.
I know. I mean, I think it's very strange myself, too, because if pilots want to report sightings, they should go somewhere where the sightings can be officially investigated.
Yeah.
That's what they need, just like they have in Chile. We need some kind of government staffer that will handle these cases, and we don't have that. That's the problem.
I was just really surprised that, when Trump was picking his new cabinet, one billionaire to another, he just didn't put Bigelow in charge of the FAA. So it was...
Right. That's true. That's a good point.
What is, because you keep talking about I'll never forget Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third... Close Encounters.
Yeah, Third Kind.
Yeah, the Third Kind. At the very opening scene, it's in my hometown, Indianapolis, Indiana, and it's the tower. And the pilot's calling in the things that he sees, the topic we're discussing tonight. He's seeing these strange lights in the sky. And I remember the air traffic controller says, "Sir, would you like to make a report?" And you hear, negative.
Right.
And you get a lot of that. Why is it, Leslie?
And most of the pilots don't want to file reports, and I think we all know the reasons for that. I mean, for one thing, there's no place for them to go to file their reports. there's no forms for them to fill out that allows them to file reports, and they're also risking ridicule and weird vibes from their colleagues or whatever. They just don't like to be associated with UFOs, unfortunately, so they don't report them.
See, that's it.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Some of them do, and if they do, they have to go to a UFO civilian organization, which doesn't allow for a proper investigation to take place because civilians don't have access to all the information that is needed to do a proper investigation. So maybe they're just not inspired to do it for that reason. I mean, what's the point,
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that interests me the most is when the scientists get involved and start asking questions. I know when we had Stanton Friedman on, who's a nuclear physicist, he and I were discussing why aliens don't speak to us, don't come out more openly about why they're here. And he and I kind of agreed that pretty good possibility that the Earth is under quarantine, and we're not seeing visitors, we're seeing guards.
Yeah, I can't comment on that. That's way beyond my, the way I work. I don't speculate about things like that.
Out of my pay
But
grade.
you did get to sit down with Miko Kaku.
Well, I have. You did? You said?
You did. You got to interview with him.
I don't know. I wouldn't say. Well, he interviewed me on his show after my book came out, and then he also went on MSNBC and talked about my book, which was incredible. I couldn't believe it. That was really one of the highlights of my time after that book came out. So he's been a real supporter of the approach I take. I mean, he has never endorsed any other UFO books before. So,
see, my closest connection to him is I was supposed to speak lecture at a conference, and I got bumped for him because all of a sudden he was available.
Gosh.
So I was like, you know what? If you're gonna get bumped off of a lecture circuit, be bumped by Miko Kaku.
Exactly. At least, he charges a fortune, though, as far as I'm aware, to speak. But he's a great speaker, really brilliant guy, and a wonderful speaker.
Now, a lot of places, Leslie, have you down as an agnostic when it comes to the topic of UFOs and aliens.
Mm-hmm.
After all the things you've done, after interviewing the most credible people, these generals, these people that were paid to protect our safety, our security, and these pilots that are responsible for thousands of lives daily, is there still any question in your mind that we're...
No, I mean, the agnostic part, I have no question about the reality of the phenomenon. I mean, that, I'm not agnostic about that. UFOs absolutely do exist, and there are many great cases, investigated at the highest levels that cannot be explained, and those are the cases I've documented in my book. So I'm not an agnostic on that level. The only thing I'm agnostic about, and, at least let's just say that's my public position. I mean, I'm agnostic about the fact about what they actually are, where they come from, why they're here.
Right.
All the questions, and the only reason is because we don't have proof of those things. And when you don't have proof of something, you just can't claim it as a fact. I mean, you can say, well, my personal opinion is, or my personal belief is, but we really don't know for sure, what UFOs actually are and where they're from. And so I have found it much more advantageous to take that position when I'm dealing with the authorities in Washington, the people that we most need to influence on this topic, if we're going to make any progress, are the people that are in a position to make policy. Yeah. And those people are not going to accept somebody walking in and saying, hey, extraterrestrials are here and they're communicating with people and they've been here for, they crashed in the desert in the 1940s and blah, blah, blah. You just can't say that kind of stuff.
Right.
If you want to speak with. So, my role is to try to have access to people who, in Washington, and I do have some access to them, and it's because I've taken the proper approach, what I consider to be the correct approach for those people.
Sure.
And it's very factually oriented. If you can't prove something, you don't claim it. Yeah. And that's the way I think we have to. I wish more people would take that position, to tell you the truth. But I find it to be the most effective in terms of the work that I'm doing. So that's my particular approach.
That's something that Sean and I have said for years on this show. We've had people on the show talking from everything from ghosts to Bigfoots and aliens, and they start talking about this proof that they have, and we'll jump in and go, what you have is evidence. You don't have proof.
Yeah, you got to make that distinction. I mean, I'm willing to say we have proof of a phenomenon with UFOs. I mean, I'm willing to state that we have enough evidence to characterize it as proof that something exists. But I don't think we can go any farther than that in terms of proof.
All right. And I just don't see something it's so frustrating. It's like Ghost in the Paranormal, because the more you see, the more questions you have. And I think it's a never-ending thing. Don't you?
I do, and I think, and in some senses, that's what I love about it, because it shows us that there's mystery everywhere in the universe, and in our, right around us, there's so much mystery, and we never can get to the bottom of it, and it kind of creates a humility for people, I think, and it gives us a reason to keep asking questions, to keep looking, to keep, trying to find out more. It never ends.
You're listed. You are an independent investigative journalist. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what it was that kind of got you in the way of aliens and UFOs? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, sure, because I did spend many years working as a just what you might call a, quotes, normal journalist, I was working at a public radio station in California, hosting and co-producing a daily investigative news program, and I did that for years, and I was writing freelance articles and publishing articles in various newspapers back in the days when you could do that. You can't do it anymore.
Right.
And I did a lot of work on Burma. I was very interested in the country of Burma and the human rights struggle there, and became sort of an expert on that. And then one day when I was working at this radio station, this Cometa report that I write about in my UFO book arrived on my desk. This French report analyzing official cases on UFOs and drawing conclusions about those cases, and I was really taken by that. And as a journalist, I recognized that it was news. I mean, you had these generals, admirals, high-level people in a group had spent years studying these cases and had come to the conclusion that the most logical explanation for them was the extraterrestrial hypothesis. That's how they expressed it. And I was just really taken by that, and I started writing. I wrote a piece about that report for the Boston Globe, and from that moment on, I became fully focused on this particular issue. And I don't regret it for 2 seconds.
Right.
I didn't stay very long at the radio station after that, and I just became, fully involved with it. And I guess that was in about the year 2000. It was when I first published the Boston Globe article. Mm-hmm. So that's how it all began. I mean, I had a curiosity about UFOs before that report, before I got that French report, but nothing professional. I never imagined that I would ever get involved with it at the level that I did. It was only that report that was really the catalyst for changing everything for me.
And then the more you got into it.
It's a great piece. I don't know if people get a chance to read it, but it's a wonderful wonderful document, that French study.
It's amazing, the piece you did there. And they mentioned about the late Phil Snyder. They talked about that. The geologist.
Who did? The French people?
No. In one of the Boston Globe reports, they were talking about the death of Phil Snyder, the ufologist, the geologist that says he worked for the military in Dulce, and in the underground base, he met these alien grays that were aggressive. There was a huge firefight, and he had evidence of his hand burnt and everything else. Did you ever get to meet Phil? I was always wanting to ask you that.
Oh, no, I didn't, and I really have I can't possibly comment on it either. I just never, I wouldn't know what to make of a story like that,
Right. Well, I've never.
So I don't know. I've never met him though, but I do remember reading something about him, years ago.
Well,
very intriguing, but hard to, there's no documentation, so it's sort of not much that a journalist like me can do with a story like that.
The only thing I found, because we were sort of journalist type, try to keep our stories straight on this show.
I'm sure you do a great job. Well, don't get me wrong.
No, we have to go out there on this. And I tell you, when I started looking into this, I called Nathan. This has been probably 8 years ago. I said, Nate, this ufology thing and the mysterious deaths around these investigators and things, have you noticed this? And Nathan said, well, I haven't looked at it too much. And we started looking into it. And again, truth is stranger than fiction, because I started studying these, and between the cancers and the sudden problems that started happening for these people,
and I just said, Sean, it's all coincidence. Sometimes people just go into the woods and hang themselves with their own belt.
Yeah.
It was
Like in the case of Phil Snyder, found dead, and I know you can't comment on it, and it's not probably...
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not informed enough. I mean, I don't mean to be, I have no negative attitude. I'm just not informed about it. But
well, let
I
me
do
put
remember,
it this way, Leslie, because you're
very
out there.
Very fascinating story.
You're somewhat a whistleblower type. You report to the people what credible people are saying about these things. Do you ever fear that something might happen or could happen by bringing light to certain things?
No, I've never had that fear, and I've never had even the remotest hint that anything negative was happening to me in terms of, getting calls then it was from weird people or anything like that.
It was a mistake to come on our show then, because Sean and I have actually had the black helicopters hovering over us before.
Nathan has.
Yeah, well, hopefully, that's not going to happen to me. But if it did, I wouldn't mind anyway. Yeah. So I live in New York City, so it might be harder for a helicopter to get around.
Right. Well, you meet weird people every day.
What's that?
How do you know you haven't seen weird people following you?
That's true. There's all kinds of things flying around over this city, that's for sure.
I know it. Okay, so let's say I'm a non-believer, which I am not. I've seen things I believe in. Nathan's seen UFOs. I have not. I've seen some weird things in the sky that I might not be. As you, I kind of try to stay on the middle ground there to keep an open mind for the show.
I would just like to point out, Sean, that I have seen flying objects that I could not identify, and therefore they are unidentified flying objects. I never said they were aliens.
No, I said UFOs. Are you running for a presidential office, or we can keep this open here,
Well, with all the crazy stuff that happened this year, Sean, I'm just waiting to find out that the aliens hacked our computers this year. And
it's either the Russians or the aliens. Who knows?
Yes.
That'll be next week. But, Leslie, let's say I'm a non-believer, and you're trying to make me believe that these things are credible. Give me the best interview possibly you did that really shook your foundation and you said, wow, this is happening. Could you do that?
Well, I mean, I don't think I could pick one, unfortunately. I mean, I think all of the cases in my book, are just extraordinary, and
they're amazing.
I mean, to me, it's documents as much as it is interviews.
Right.
Interview with Oscar Santamaria from Peru and Parviz Jafari from Iran, who were both flying planes in which they were attempting to shoot down UFOs. I mean, those two interviews really floored me. Right. I remember the first time I met both of those guys, and it was at the same time that I met them. They were together in Washington when I was involved with this press conference in 2007, and it was just extraordinary to hear them tell their stories, and both those cases are documented by U.S. government documents, so they're very strong cases. So those two certainly stand out, but I'm sure Charles Halt is another person from the Rendlesham case who I've spoken to a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I find him really impressive and really credible.
They actually...
General Bermudez from Brazil. I mean, just about everybody from the book I just was so, respectful of and learned a lot from.
Nick came on the weekend after they had settled that case in court, the Rendlesham Forest. Mm-hmm. They had actually agreed to pay for the illness that it came up on the men. You've heard about that, of course, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been following it that closely because I'm working on this other book for so many years, but I know, a little bit. You probably know more about it than I do.
I just thought that was fascinating that the actual United States government, by covering that...
The United States government, Sean? I thought it was the British government.
Oh, yeah. No, because these were United States troops.
Yeah, I think these were the
U.S.
two,
troops. Okay, yeah. Yep, I see what you're saying.
Right, the two guys that were filing lawsuits for medical issues, I think, right?
It was, right. And for the government to actually pay out on this, it was kind of the closest we came to acceptance by our government that UFOs were there.
Well, I love their answer to it. Yeah. I love their answer to it where they said... an incident occurred that created these illnesses. That's as far as they'd go. They'd say an incident occurred that created these illnesses. So.
Right. That's it. So I compare that to Chile, and there's a big difference.
So Leslie,
and I hope your listeners will go to the Huffington Post and look at the latest videos that were in this story. They're really fascinating.
They're amazing.
I think, and the story's on the Huffington Post website.
We send our listeners to the Huffington Post all the time.
Yeah.
Leslie, what's coming up next in the new book? What can we expect? Surviving Death, Shifting Gears.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be announcing that the book's coming out next week, and it's just been an absorbing quest that I've been on for about a little more than 3 years. I mean, I had looked into it over the years before that, but The book is basically just trying to put, sort of like the UFO book, I'm trying to bring forward the most, credible evidence from the best people and the best cases that is the most suggestive of this possibility of survival past death. And I look at a whole range of different areas from, where I draw the information from. So it's not, it's not just one thing like near-death experiences or, reincarnation cases or something. It's a whole range of areas of research. And when you kind of synthesize them all together, it creates a fascinating picture. And I also included my own personal experiences that occurred during the time that I was doing the research. So it's a more personal book for me than the UFO book was.
Right. And I've got to say to all our listeners out there, you can go onto Amazon now and pre-order Surviving Death by Leslie Kane. I almost said it wrong.
Yeah.
I almost did it wrong.
Oh, that's okay. I forgive you. Don't worry.
Hey,
happens all the time.
My last name is Schoonover. Imagine how often that gets mispronounced.
Schoonover, that's an interesting name.
Actually, when Sean and I started our radio show, I got the nickname Demon Hunter because we were both on another radio show, and the host of that show couldn't say my name. So,
so we all, it's not an uncommon thing, and it's not a big deal either.
Surviving Death by Leslie Kane is available for pre-order on Amazon already right now.
Thanks for saying that. Yeah, it's very helpful when people pre-order. It helps us during the first week of when the book first comes out. So thanks for mentioning that.
Not a problem. And it's available in hardcover and Kindle, I see. However, it doesn't have anything listed for audio. Are you going to put it on audio?
Yeah, how did you must be psychic, because tomorrow I'm actually going into the studio to begin the recording of the audiobook for this.
Woohoo! So. I love audiobooks.
Oh yeah, cool. And I'm doing most of the book myself, except there are 10 chapters written by others. As the UFOs, I think there were 13 chapters written by others, but in this book there are 10, and they're going to be read by different other voices besides mine. But I'm going to read the rest of the book. So we have an audiobook, and an ebook and a hardback book coming out.
Nice. Leslie, having you on is, I would love to let you talk or have you listen to one of the archive shows, because you'd be so fascinated with this amazing book you have coming out here. Have you ever heard of Mr. Victor Zammit?
Yes, I have.
Lawyer's Case.
I get it. He does this weekly newsletter that I read, and I know about what he does and everything.
Yeah. He came on our show, and he's a fascinating man, and he talked out about, the afterlife, and he tried to build the case, and it was very convincing. That was the most I talked about show we did in a long time that year, and because he started talking it, and the hate that some people, the love too, but the hate that some people attacked this man on the level they were talking about.
Really?
Yeah, because when he started talking about that psychic, I forget the man's name, talking about your book brought it up, but he had dealt directly with the psychic. Remember this, Nathan?
I do.
And the psychic.
I remember Victor very well.
Maybe religious people that disliked him. Were they religious people that felt threatened by it?
Most likely that was the case. But I thought that here's a credible man. He was a lawyer. He comes on this show. He's making a good case, and then that's what I was getting ready to go. Why are people, do you think, so angry? A lot of people when it comes to the topic of the paranormal and the afterlife.
I guess if you have a lot of emotion about it, that means it's pushing some button in your psyche. Otherwise, you would just have an intellectual reaction, right?
Right.
But if you have this gut level kind of emotional, hate, anger, or whatever, like you're describing, it obviously is frightening people or touching something in them that is threatens their worldview, threatens their belief systems, whatever. Everybody's got a different reason for having these reactions, but it shows that it means something personal to them. It's not just an intellectual thing.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, when people start talking about the afterlife and people argue it, people immediately jump to the concept of Christians arguing, that there's only one afterlife and that kind of thing. But I remember Sean and I once discussing with a Hindu man, reincarnation, and I said I had a personal belief that reincarnation was actually a confused subject because I had studied the Kabbalah and I'd studied Haitian voodoo, and they all have these ideas of different levels of the soul. Like when you die, you have a main soul that goes to heaven or hell, that kind of thing. And then you have a smaller soul that kind of dissipates. And I said, what if, when that soul dissipates, it clings on to another living person. And what you think is somebody being reincarnated is just somebody being attached by the energy of a person who's passed. Well, this gentleman got so upset at us because I said this, because it went in the face of everything he believed. And
it's too bad. It's just another a perfectly reasonable question to ask, or another perspective. People shouldn't. But people do have very strong reactions, I guess. We'll see what happens. I'm going to be up against this when I.
Well, have you ever seen the way they drive in India? They need an afterlife. They need a reincarnation because they don't have a lot of shot surviving the way they drive over there.
Yeah, I've never been to India, but I'd love to go someday.
That'd be amazing. But let's switch back to aliens real quick. I know we're running out of time, Leslie.
Sure.
Thanks for being a good sport, because we were late getting you on. And you're fascinating.
Okay.
You're fascinating. So I got to keep you on all night. I'm sorry.
Come on.
Hey, let me ask you.
About that.
Dr. David Jacobs came on, and I know you're probably familiar with his work. He wrote the book about the alien-human hybrids, and I know you can't go into your feelings.
I haven't read it, actually, to be honest with you. His latest book I have not read.
Well, off the record and hush-hush, there's only about 70,000, 80,000 people listen here.
Yeah, we're off the record, right?
Yeah, off the record. I'm going to turn the show off. Now, what do you think? I mean, honestly, the percentage of possibility here with something like that. Dr. David Jacobs says they walk among us. They are here. They have bread.
I know.
With us.
It's pretty far out. Yeah, I mean, I respect the guy for being willing to stand by what he believes in, and he, writing about his research and I respect him a great deal. I don't feel really in a position to make a judgment about it. I don't feel well informed enough about it. I don't feel like it's my area of focus. Right. I really don't know that much about it as much, but I respect him, and I think it's a perfectly worthy area of investigation. To investigate these reports of people claim they're being abducted by aliens. I mean, and if this is where he arrives after all the work he's done, bless him. What can I say?
I think he came to
Let
that.
him write about it, but I'm not in a position to really comment. That's the bottom line.
I think your comment to me earlier was wrong, Sean. I think Leslie's running for politics.
Yeah, I think she is too.
Come on.
She's going to be.
I'm very sincere. I mean, I really mean it. I respect him a great deal. I know him personally. You know?
Yeah.
But I just don't know what to make of that research. I mean, if I was to take some time to really read every single book and talk to him and talk to some of the people he's interviewed, and then maybe I'd have I feel like I was justified to have an opinion, but I just haven't done that. So there's no point I can't really shed any light on it.
Right.
We were talking earlier about the difference between evidence and proof. And there's also words that get bantered around very easily, like research. What do you consider to be hardcore research into UFO or even, afterlife theories? Because you're writing books based on people's observations and experiences, but what's the research?
Well, it's a tough question. I mean, it really is. It's a good point you're making. I think, when something is published in a peer-reviewed journal and reviewed and put out there into a scientifically oriented publication, that certainly qualifies it as research. And then you can go down from there, and I guess everybody has different standards for it. But I think isn't that the standard that's generally held? Is it needs to be published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, right. And then it's legitimate research. But otherwise, how do we know? It's got to be reviewed by people that are in a position to authenticate it or point out weaknesses in the methodology of the research or all of that. So I don't know. I mean, I think with the internet especially, standards of those kinds of things are not maybe held to the highest level like they used to be. Because on the internet, everybody's doing research and throwing it up on their websites, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
Who knows anymore? But and I think the quality of the research, who the people are that are doing the research is really important. Are they credible? Can you trust them? Have they the proper training to do this kind of work? And who are they? You've got to know all of that. Are they associated with a university? Are they, experts in their field? Or so you have to look at each research report carefully on its own merits and run it by people who would be in a position to evaluate it.
Right. What do you think about, and I know you're going to say you respect David, but
I just can't comment on all these people out there, you know?
You're kidding me. You can't answer. No. I just want to bring him to you because I know you're one of the greats in this field, and sooner or later it's going to be
I'm a journalist. I'm not even in the field.
But
you got to remember that. There's a difference.
You've shed so much light on this, and with your book and everything, sooner or later something's going to happen.
I'm glad you've done that.
It's one of you guys are going to crack the code here, and you're going to find something. But, Dr. Stephen Greer with SETI, right? SETI?
Mm-hmm.
He uses the powerful lasers to signal UFOs, and he believes that works. He has whole groups of people go out in the desert, and they'll do this, and they actually have pictures with things flashing back at them and stuff. Again, what do you think? The probability of something like that being successful. Actually, an alien ship would be able to flash us back by using powerful lasers to... I want to believe.
I just don't know. I've never been out on one of those events with Greer. I've heard mixed reports from people who have. Some people think they've seen something. Other people think that they're being duped.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's as far as I know. I just never have done it myself, so I just can't. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah. Well, what is next for Leslie? Leslie Kane, what is going to go on next? What do you got? You got the book coming out. You got the recordings?
That's my next thing. I mean, I've spent really 3 years kind of distant from the UFO. I mean, I've been keeping up with certain aspects of it, and I've also very enthusiastic about this group called UFO Data, which I'm involved with.
Okay.
Which I hope people will look up on the internet. It's ufodata.net, and it's a scientific group that's come together to try to set up stations around the country with sophisticated equipment to get more data on UFOs or some flying objects than we have had previously. Right. Data that can then be provided to scientists for analysis, and it's kind of an attempt to break through the barrier that the scientific community has on these subjects. So I think I'm really involved with that group, and we're slowly trying to raise enough money to get our operation going, and there's a group of very, very great people that I think are involved with that. And then other than that, I've been pretty much keeping up with the work from Chile and working on my new book, and that's been my focus for the last 3 years. So I haven't been quite as involved with UFOs as I have been prior to that.
Well, New York Times
and that's really what's in store for me in the next couple of years is really going to be the work that's going to come from this new book. I'm very excited about that.
What do you think you find more fascinating, the UFO topic or Afterlife?
Good question. Both.
Yeah.
Absolutely both. I mean, right now I'm kind of enthralled with the Afterlife work because it's new and I'm still learning. I mean, the UFOs I've spent so many years with. This other work is much newer for me, and I would have liked another 5 years before I published the book, honestly, because there's just so much to learn and to read. So it's kind of an ongoing quest that I'm still involved with.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, it's just the newness of it as compared to UFOs. I mean, I've done a lot of work in this. And it's a little more ambiguous. I think it's harder to pin down in a certain way than the UFO phenomenon is. It doesn't have as much physicality to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly wrote about cases in which there are physical manifestations, but it's a more complex area, quite honestly. I think it's much more complicated than the study of UFOs.
That's why you're just going to have to spend those 5 years still studying it and then come out with the follow-up book, which will be the Afterlife Survival Kit.
Afterlife 2, how about?
Electric Boogaloo.
Afterlife 2, the Survival Kit. And
we'll see what happens. I don't know where it's going to go, but it's fascinating. That's all I can say.
Leslie, last thing I just want to say, and then I'll hand it over to Nathan. One thing that always fascinated me, and I don't know if you covered this in your book. I won't until I buy the thing in March. ITC, Instrumental Transcommunication. Have you heard of this?
I certainly have, and just to tell you, it's not in the book, but I know there's a really cool movie about it. Have you heard of the movie called Calling Earth?
No, I've heard of White Noise.
This is a movie. It's actually a documentary made by an independent filmmaker who I've known for years. His name is Dan Drayson, and he makes it available for free on the internet. And he's been a great investigator into ITC, and it's all about the voices that were captured, what they call EVP, voices captured on tapes and images coming through TV screens of dead people and stuff like that. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I looked that up. The loop.
So if you want, I'll send you a link for that film if you might want to make that available to your audience.
Yes, Definitely. I'd love to. We've had ITC experiments live on the air. They didn't turn out real well because you can't do that too much on radio, but we definitely played our results because Nathan and I have investigated the paranormal for, God, I don't know, since I was a kid. I grew up in a haunted home. And
wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, you don't see it as much. You know that. You don't go everywhere and you see things flying around like these shows would have you believe. But you do have things happen that make you go, wow, what happened there? Shadows, voices, and especially with the ITC EVP stuff. I've gotten so many, results, so much stuff that came out of that evidence that made me ask more questions. So that topic great. Drives me nuts because you can definitely hear voices sometimes. And I'm not just talking.
It's so fascinating. I know, it's fascinating. I couldn't include it in my book for a lot of reasons. Part of it's just plain space. I just didn't have enough space to cover everything that needed to be covered. And it's a little harder to pin, I don't know, some of the evidence isn't as strong as I would like it to be, but nonetheless, I find it's really fascinating, and I want you to see this film because I think it's a really nice piece that this guy did. So
is it online? You can actually go to the link and watch it?
Yeah, I can send you the link. He just posts it. I think it's like a full feature doc, but he posts it just for people to watch online.
Thank you, Leslie. Nathan, do
I'll
you have
send you that link after the show.
I cannot wait. Nathan, anything else for Leslie? We've kept her over here.
I just wanted to ask you really quick, since we were all talking earlier about Miko Kaku, when you were writing this book or the UFO book or any of your books, have you ever discussed Miko Kaku's fish theory with him, the theory of why somebody can't die and come back and really describe death, what it's like on the other side, because there's no means of continuity?
Yeah, and you're talking about his essay about the fish that doesn't know that there's any other dimension outside of the water, right?
Exactly.
That kind of analogy. Yeah. I mean, I love that piece, and it's so interesting you brought that up because I was hoping, I actually did have some communication with him indirectly through another person about that particular piece because I was thinking, I might want to include it in my book or something like that. It didn't actually happen that way, but I love that piece that he wrote.
That's one of my favorite pieces of his.
Oh, me too.
And I've brought that up when discussing ghosts and aliens and everything else with people with the dimensional theory of it. And people just look at me and think I have two heads, but it's a beautiful piece that I think anybody who wants to study any of these fields should have to read before they get into the field.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's posted in a sort of an essay on his website, on Mikio's website. I don't remember what the actual title of the piece is, but if you scroll down, you'll find it, and it's really fun to read and really, really cool and well written. So it's funny you mentioned that. I've never heard anybody else mention that before, and that piece really meant a lot to me. So
me too.
We're on the same wavelength there.
Leslie, for our listeners out there around the world, where can they find out more about you? How can they follow you and snoop on you and know all the fascinating things you're doing?
Well, I have a Facebook page. I think that's probably the best way. You just go to my author page on Facebook. You don't have to be a friend. It's just an open page, and we have a lot of great discussion going on, and I'm going to be building a website for the new book. It's just not ready yet. But all of that stuff will be told, I'll post everything on Facebook that happens over the next couple of months before the book comes out. So I think that would be the best place for people to get in touch, and I hope they will.
Yeah, I'm definitely friends with Leslie, guys, on Facebook. You got to do it. She's got the best stories up there constantly. So
thanks, and I hope people will go read that Huffington Post, because one of the things is I really am grateful to the Huffington Post for providing a platform for these stories, and I think the more people that click on that story, the more reward the Huffington Post gets. They get acknowledgement for the fact that they're doing the right thing,
right.
And that encourages them to do more stories on UFOs. So it's important that people just click on it, even if they don't feel like reading the piece. Just to give the Huffington Post the recognition that, because they keep count of how many people read the story, and so the more people that go on, the better.
It sounds good to me. Nathan, do you have anything else left for Leslie?
Just wanted to say, Leslie, when Sean says snoop on you, we're not recommend people stalk you. We don't recommend that. And by the way, you should really close your curtains because we can see right in your room right now. So it's,
oh, my God, I'm looking out the window. Where are you?
Hi, I'm over here.
You got any beer in the fridge?
I never close my curtains. No, I never close my curtains.
All right.
But I'm up high enough that I don't have to worry.
Leslie, you're amazing. Your work's amazing, and we support everything
Thank
you do.
you.
Could you
Well,
stay on?
thanks so much for doing this. And let's do another show, another interview after the book comes out, and I can talk about it more.
We'd be
More
honored
than I
to.
can talk about it now.
Honored. Would you stay on the line 1 second while we close out the show?
Sure.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Nathan, what do you say we pay the bills?
Oh, we haven't paid them in a month. I guess we have to.
Yeah, before they drop.
They'll turn off the computers again.
That's it, guys. Leslie Kean, author of the new book coming out this March, Surviving Death, a journalist investigates evidence for the afterlife. Yeah, I can't wait for that one. I'm going to order it, pre-order. Anyway, special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors, Stitcher, Smart Radio, Spreaker. The world's listening. Are you? They want to know? Check them out, Spreaker.com, Planet Paranormal, Geeky Antics Network, Series Geeks, Silly Fun, GeekyAntics.net, and, of course, Attentive Home Healthcare, AttentiveHAC.com. From the haunted back roads of America, this has been another exclusive Shadow Nation interview. Don't go changing America. You know we won't. Demon Hunter.
Because we love you.
Night, guys.